Is it real or is it fake? That's for Wheeler to decide. Coming up on Cardinals On My Time.
I've been thinking about this, Mr. Han. If I'm here and you're here, doesn't that make it our time?
And welcome back to Cardinals On My Time. I am Mr. Plastastic17, Scott Plaza, and I am joined today by the crew, Matt and Jonathan from Redbird Rundown, but no offense to them, they're just going to kind of be here because we have an even more special guest with Kevin Wheeler. Find him on all over KMOX, jumping into the podcast for the very first time. I'm super excited to have him on joining us today. I was just saying we had talked on Viva Alberto's, and he basically agreed with everything I had to say, so therefore he is phenomenal. He's in the Ivan Herrera should catch camp as well. So, so we're super excited.
Should okay. Can.
All right, there we go. Yeah, that's going to be something that I'm sure we're going to talk about today. But Kevin, super excited to have you on. So it's been a week plus. So really quick before we get into it, tell us about your emotions for these first week.
I've had fun, man. I think, there's. I get it's hard, right? I mean, Cardinal Nation, especially people that are like your guys' age. I mean, like, you guys don't really know a bad Cardinals team. Like, bad to younger fans, and by younger, I just mean anybody under 40, really. It is like 84 wins, but that's not what bad is in Cleveland or Kansas City or Pittsburgh or anywhere else, right? So I get it's jarring, but like, to me, it's okay to have fun just watching baseball and looking at the players right now and seeing the potential and seeing what could be, because we all agree that being the annual contender is more fun. We all agree that that's better. Nobody's fighting that. But outside of the biggest markets, and even some of them struggle with it, but outside of the biggest markets where they can screw up on payroll and not lose an ounce of sleep over it and not miss a beat, most teams go through this, and the Cardinals just never have. So again, it's weird, but I'm hoping that people will join that part of it, because and look, there are going to be times it's not fun. I mean, let's be real. There are going to be weeks, maybe a month here or there, where it's not going to be fun. But when it is, that's when you can see what's possible.
Yeah, and it's something different, so it is just exciting in that, right? Like, just seeing something rather than being, oh, ho-hum, NL Central champions. Let's go ahead and see it from the other side this time. So
yeah, I mean, look, the idea is to build to be back to being a team that can win the World Series, not just a team that can win 88 to 92 games and maybe get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, they were not anywhere near a position to be a World Series team, and I think the actions of this front office under Chaim Bloom, and really the actions of the DeWitts in going this direction, tells you they agree with that.
Yeah, and the actions that they're taking now is kind of what's putting us in that area of deciding what is it that we're actually looking for, and is it something that we should put weight into or not. We talked about, is spring training important? We've kind of settled on no, but now can we start to put spring training and the regular season together? So what we're going to do today, Kevin, we don't just have our guests on and just ask them interview questions. We like to get them a part of the chaos that is what we do here. So we're going to get you involved in a little game of what's actually real. So we're going to talk about, is it real or is it a mirage? So we're going to give you some situations, some people that we talked about, some statistics to back it up, and we're going to determine, is this real or is it fake? But before we get into that, we want to jump a little quickly over to what we got to offer on the Redbird Rundown as well. We offer even more Cardinals content for free on our Patreon. You can join our Discord for game chats, which has been blowing up tonight. And for a little extra, you can get our weekly bonus episode on that Patreon. But if you like the free stuff, then about 80% of you that are tuning in every week need to hit that subscribe and follow button, because we can see that you're watching and you're just embracing the free stuff. So give us that like, that subscribe. We love the community so far, so keep it going. But before we get going to reality, we want to tell you that you are always safe with State Farm, because in baseball, the little decisions matter. Do you swing at the first pitch or wait for your spot? Do you go for third or hold up at second? The right call can make all the difference. Making the right insurance decision feels pretty good too. That's why State Farm agent Scott Owens in Mount Vernon, Illinois is ready to help you choose the coverage that fits your lineup and your budget. Scott and his team will walk you through your options so you know exactly who to call if the unexpected steps up to the plate. With Scott Owens, it's easy to make the right call. Just give him a call today at 888-242-3770. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right, now talking about the right call, we're going to just go ahead and jump into this right away and saying Jordan Walker was never going to go down to Memphis. It's the right call that he is in the lineup and he is taking the 4-hole. So, Kevin, before we get into is it real or is it fake, just give us your Jordan Walker take, because he is just the talk of what is getting into national media now.
Guys, the number one thing about Walker for me at the moment is I'm fired up that it's a good start, because he's a guy that needs some positive reinforcement, man. It's been 2.5 years of just like searching and struggling and swinging at sliders low and away in the dirt and really trying to fight both mechanics and like approach and pitch selection, swing decisions. And having one of those things off is hard. When you're trying to do both, when you're trying to figure out, all right, how do I do damage with this bat speed that I have? I mean, he's got Aaron Judge bat speed. How do I do damage with it instead of beating it into the ground? And, you know, that's a twofold answer, right? And they've made some changes in his stance. They've made some changes mechanically. I don't think the mechanical changes look all that big. The biggest difference early is that he's just swinging at pitches he can handle. And, you know, that's something that when we look at last year, you guys, we can all find this. You go to Baseball Savant and look at the maps of the pitches he was swinging at last year and the percentages of his swings that were low and away, even in like a little bit in the zone and then low and away out of the zone. It was insane. And that number's been dramatically reduced so far. Number one, I'm just happy for him. Like, I'm happy that he can relax a little bit. He's gotten a chance to use his arm as a weapon in the field. And look, it seems, I'm just going by what I've seen and by what I've heard others, his manager kind of hint at and others hint at, maybe not saying it directly, but he seems to be a guy that sometimes will carry his struggles at the plate into the field. You know, we saw early last year his defense actually had improved. And then as the season went along, it got worse. And, you know, look, a lot of people do that. He's not the first. It's just it's a difficult psychological game. So I guess number one, without getting into the real or not or any of that, I'm just excited that he's having a good time and that he's getting a good start. It doesn't mean that 6 months will be good, but it takes away some weight, right? It takes some of the weight off of him.
Absolutely. And like you said, it just feels good to have him do well. You feel for the guy just hearing all the negativity. And I mentioned it before on winter warm-up. Like, he came in to that room and he was beaming, smiling, saying hello to everybody. And that's a guy that's been beaten by those same people that was in the room. So that was just good to see. So Matt, let's keep going with the Jordan Walker. I know you just wrote about it for Redbird Rants, but is this real or is this a mirage? The Jordan Walker experience that we are currently living.
Well, listen, I'm going to have to go back and clear up something with Kevin first. Kevin, I just want you to know, I'm riding the 40-year-old train, okay? So my first Cardinals memory is sitting on the lap of hard-hitting Mark Whitten after a game, yeah? So like Bane from Batman, I was born in the darkness. I came of age in the good time, but yeah, I've been there a little bit. Okay,
but so you were a wee little guy then, right?
I was a wee little guy, yeah, for sure. Here's the deal with Jordan Walker. It is real as can be if he keeps doing this. And that's the whole thing with him. He is swinging at the right pitches. He's taking the right pitches. They've got the bat tilt going to where, I mean, he hit that monstrous grand slam. Granted, the fastball is right down the middle, but how many times have we seen that be like a 118-mile ground out? And it was a 460-foot bomb because the bat tilt is better. So here's the whole thing with him. If he does this, this is real. It's just whether or not he will revert back to when times get tough. And as Kevin has mentioned, they're going to be tough at some point. If he reverts back, then it's over. But if he does this, then the Cardinals have their four-hitter probably for the next 7 to 10 years.
Jonathan, has he officially usurped Mason Wynn as the cleadoff hitter of the future?
Listen, Mason Wynn was the quintessential cleanup hitter, as we all know. No, Matt, I was just about to say something about that home run. Those bricks, they ought to check them at Comiskey Park because,
oh, man.
Wow, that was a true rocket. He's reminding me of like the good things of J.J. Weatherholt right now, of the things that we get to see there. He's just barreling the ball. He's not trying to do too much. I know not too much is him swinging 75 miles an hour, which I can promise you there's no chance I could do that under any circumstance could I do that. But it's just exciting for him to actually see success, like Kevin is saying, because we've seen guys like Arenado hold that he's not doing very well. He goes in the field and you can just see it, right? So that is a really good point. I agree with you there, but it's just good to see him putting contact on the ball. And as we were just talking before we started recording, his strikeouts look encouraging. You could have given the guy, we said this before, a boat oar last year and he wouldn't have hit anything. Now it's like his 2 Ks tonight in this game as we're recording. I was like, okay, he just got beat. Those were major league strikeouts. That's going to happen. He doesn't look totally lost. And you just saw, I think he hit a home run to right field earlier. This is fantastic. If this keeps going, then everybody's going to love Jordan Walker. And I think all the ill will and the bad blood the past 18 months, I think St. Louis is going to be feeling a lot better about him.
Well, everyone has loved Jordan Walker this whole time. I don't know what you're talking about. So,
I think everybody's loved him and rooted for him, but there wasn't much love coming back in the way of hits.
Yeah.
Seriously, I don't think there was hate, at least in my corner of the world. I don't think there was hate for Walker. It was more like frustration because you can see. God Almighty, his bat speed and his average exit velo. It's Aaron Judge. It is. You match him up, batted ball data. Now the only difference was the frequency of it, right? And the ability to consistently do it. But the max, right? The top end was always there. And it's sometimes, look, we had Oliver Marmol and Brant Brown on the Gas House Gang late last season. And at that time, they were talking about his need to be more open to things and to put in more time. And, it got a lot of buzz at the time. And I don't think it was them calling him out. I think it was them saying out loud what they've been saying to him. And look, a couple of years of struggle got him into Driveline. And we know that they do great, smart work. But I don't want to underestimate how important I think it is that the Cardinals are also now caught up technologically, that they have the ability to reinforce these things down in Jupiter. So if you were getting good feedback from your time at Driveline, you can go down there now and you can get that same feedback, good or bad. And a lot of young players live on feedback. I coach 14-year-olds and high school players. They live on this stuff. They live on hit tracks. They live on those things. They know what it means when there's good contact and they love the feedback. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we're starting to see it, not only because he went to Driveline, but because now the Cardinals have those facilities and they have that mindset and they have the extra bodies, the extra instructors and coaches around to help with all of these things. So he's gotten the attention. So it's a combo of him being willing to take that step and, get that process and buy into it a little bit more, but it's also the team's growth. So in that way, I'm really hopeful that it's real, because what he's doing will work as long as he keeps doing it.
Yeah, it seemed like they just treated him like an adult. Not that it seemed like they babied him or anything, but it's like, hey, this is the stuff that we're putting it out there. Like you said, I remember writing about the conversation you're talking about. Yeah. And then the same one, Brant Brown also was like, yeah, me and Burleson go back and forth, have silent treatments to each other because he challenges me. And maybe that's going to be that's the way that, like you're saying, that he needs to get either a type of feedback or a challenge to do that. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm excited and cautiously optimistic to see where this is going to go.
Yeah. The hard part for any ball player at any level is doing it all year. Right? That's basically the difference between AAA players and the big leagues. Right? AAA is loaded. Every organization has guys that on any given day will come up and look like these guys. Will come up and look as good as the best hitters out there, as good as the best pitchers out there. But they can't do it all the time. They can't stay with it day after day for 6 months. So if he passes that test, then the Cardinals are answering a massive question for their long term.
Absolutely. And it's a question that is going to need to be answered this year regardless. So let's go ahead and get into this thing here. Jonathan, I know you're super excited to get this thing going. So no pressure, but you've been hyping yourself up. So you wanted to hear what we have to think about your first player trend.
All right. I'm actually not going to pick a player.
Oh,
wow.
Oh,
so I'm just going to throw
it in the prompt already.
Cancel.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about Oli Marmol because I think he's the real deal right now. I thought about all the players on our team, all the turnover, all the guys I could have picked. And I've loved what I've seen from Oli so far this year and what's happened in the last, 12 to 18 months, 24 months as him being the manager. Matt knows we've had lengthy discussions throughout this prior to Redbird Rundown when it was just me calling him on the phone whenever we would want to talk about this, and how frustrated I was with some of the Oli things, the Oli-isms, him being kind of stiff with the media or decisions he would make, and we would contrast against Matheny and Schilt, and we won't say those names too many times here. But so far this year, he hasn't made any egregious mistakes. He hasn't done anything that leaves you frustrated mid-game. It's almost like you don't really know he's there, and I mean that in the most positive way I could, where there are, managers in the past who have, why are you sticking with this guy? Why are you putting this guy in the game right now? He seems to be managing the game not to the roles, but just whatever the game presents him. Like, he's brought JoJo in several times earlier in the game. That is a modern way of thinking. That is not sticking with your dudes, because there's the ghost of Kevin Segrist somewhere in the ether whose arm is still broken for the amount of times that he had to come in. And it's just exciting to see that we actually have a manager that I do believe can help bring us into the future. He's not over-managing. He's not running guys like Mason Wynn into the ground. I know, to Matt's chagrin, he wears his hat backwards sometimes, but that's a personal preference. It's
Unreal.
a personal preference. I just think, and not that I have managerial experts here or expertise, but Kevin, you do. It feels like, bad managers, they stay stubborn. They stick to their dudes. They stick to their old ways. And good managers adjust. And it feels like in this moment for Cardinals baseball, I know when he signed his extension, everyone was excited that he could lead this chapter going forward. It really does feel like that. And I think he could be the manager for the next good while and really bring that baseball, the winning baseball, back. So I've just been really excited to see Oli. I know that seems crazy because he's not a player, but it makes me feel good that there's a manager that I personally believe in, and he's won me over, I guess, is the last I could say of it.
Well, I don't know why we set rules if we just go off the rails right away. But
Hey, he
let's
used
go
to
ahead.
play.
Meant to be broken, man.
He
It's
used to be a player.
2026.
Let's go ahead and roll with it. So, Kevin, the extension was the only thing that made sense this year for Marmol, right? Or what do you think about the long-term view of it? Is it this year and then see what happens?
No, to me, he's shown enough to be the guy until he proves otherwise, which means he has a good enough team to win and doesn't get the job done.
Yeah, right.
Because his record as the manager has been a direct reflection of the roster, which, by the way,
100%.
is the same thing for Tony La Russa. You can etch that in stone and bring it off the mountaintop. Tony La Russa didn't win anything without top players. No manager does.
Of course.
None. And I think that's the hard part. Like, I get it. It was an inexperienced hire for a team that was expecting to win and contend. But I'm not sure that expectation was ever correct.
Mm-hmm.
You had aging players. You had a really weak pitching staff. And you put him in a position where he also had a lot. I think Oli is a good manager. I think he's getting better. I think a young manager is a lot like a young player. They have things to move. And I wasn't old enough, and I'm older than you guys by a lot. I wasn't old enough to see Tony La Russa manage with the White Sox in his first couple of years. I was around, but I was like 5. Okay, so I didn't really like check off boxes. Of what he was
super
doing right and
zoned
what he was
in
doing
on
wrong.
the White Sox.
Yeah.
games back
Right.
then.
I was just trying to figure out kindergarten.
Makes sense.
The second time.
Every manager has things to learn. Very few, unless you're walking into a loaded team, very few are just going to be plug and play, boom, go win. So, if you put that into the context, yeah, you know what? He's had flaws over the years. He in the past, I think it's changing, but it's also changing in part because the roster's changing. But in the past, he's been too deferential to veterans. Veteran pitchers got mad at Wilson Contreras, so he's not the catcher anymore.
Yeah, that was,
and that was a horrible mistake. And I think there have been other examples. Last year, the big complaint from me was just letting players talk their way into the lineup when they were hurt. And that was Mason Wynn and Brendan Donovan and Lars Nootbaar. And you could look at their performance and see they weren't right. They weren't okay. They might have been telling you they're okay, but they're not. But the thing that we have to remember, and I have to remind myself, is that he's not the only voice in that conversation. There's the player, there's the manager, there's the front office. They all have a voice in that conversation. And we never really know because we're not inside. I'm in the building, I'm underneath the stadium some days, but I'm not in the meeting when Mo and Oli are talking or when the players are so we're not in that. So unless somebody says who was pulling the trigger on that, we don't really know. So we have to operate with that in mind, that we don't know if that was all Oli or not. And if it was, well, then those are my complaints. I thought, again, too deferential to veterans, but it's not really an issue now because you don't have that many veterans.
They've all been ejected into the sun.
Right. And I think that maybe suits this manager better now.
I think
possible.
so. Yep.
Yeah, and he's got the background in player development. So that's the right person to oversee a rebuild is somebody that has worked with young players before, and worked with some of these guys in the minor leagues, before. And I think that it's, so yeah, I think Ollie's really good. I think he runs a great bullpen. I think he's a good communicator who's getting better at it the more comfortable he gets. And I think that, yeah, he's still got things to improve on, but every manager does when you're in your third or fourth year and you're in your 30s still. I mean, like, again, even the best managers in the world, what had Sparky Anderson won when he was 35? What had Tony La Russa won at that time? What had Joe Madden won at that time? There's a lot that goes into this. And I understood the argument at the time. The Cardinals shouldn't be hiring a developmental manager. I understood that. It was fair for the way the team was being presented as we're trying to win. It's a fair question. But now that we are where we are, I think he's doing a good job. And I would expect him to keep getting better because he's a smart dude. And I think he's very responsive to, the public's opinions. Like, he answers questions. He does Gas House Gang. He was on Cardinals territory. He does all the radio things that people ask him to do. And I think he's as honest as a manager can be, right? You can't be totally because, piss off your players. But down the road, that'll be what determines whether he's a successful manager, is whether or not the players tune him out. And again, I hate to keep invoking Tony La Russa, but that's how he always talked about it. It's like, the minute they stop listening to me, the minute they tune me out is the time I need to go. And that's the stuff that leads to problems with teams more than decisions, because this stuff is collaborative. The front office and the manager do all these things together. So if Ollie's doing something with, the sequence of relievers he's using, it's probably part of a plan. It's a conversation that's been had with 10 people, analytics, president of baseball operation, Rob Serfolio, like his pitching coaches, they're all in on this. It's not like it used to be. And we got to stop evaluating managers based on the old paradigm where the manager was king and it was what he wanted and only what he wanted all the time.
Well, and like you said, talk about him wanting to cater to the veterans. I think he was a young guy, and we were told that, he's got Yadier Molina, he's got Nolan Arenado, he's got Paul Goldschmidt,
Adam
he's
Wainwright,
got Pujols. Go ahead and Wainwright, go ahead and sit back. We'll take care of it. And then that's when we see Brandon Crawford and them get signed because they need more veteran presence and stuff.
Right.
Matt, what your last takes on the progression of Oli Marmol this year?
I agree wholeheartedly. I think that he has evolved as he's gone on, and that's such an important thing because, as you guys have mentioned, your team changes. So you cannot be one of these guys that just has the way that you do it. I think the best managers in every sport change with the changing face of their team. This team has changed, and so Oli Marmol has changed. And I agree with Jonathan and Kevin. I'm good if Oli is around for 5, 6, 7 years, and I think you put a good like an endpoint on it. We need to get good and really see what he can do at the top line before we start to judge him. We can't do this thing where, like, he rebuilds it and then we jettison him for the guy who's going to come in and win. Ollie's done all this work. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah.
Fair. All right, I love it. I think we're all on the same page with the Oli Marmol. Let's go. Let's go ahead and
you guys realize that all of us are about to get yelled at on Twitter.
Oh,
go for it.
You're welcome
Good.
for bringing that up. So.
Well, we're just rule breakers, and then we just have to embrace whatever comes with it after that.
We can let the overly emotional people be overly emotional.
Yeah, whatever works for the engagement, So I'll go ahead and go next here because I think this is just something that I talked about, and then we'll keep this thing moving. I'm going to go with the full Ivan Herrera experience. I think it's for real. Both sides of the ball, he's 100% real. We heard how, and we talked about it before, can and should are two different things in this case. But we heard Marmol kind of talk about there's a reason behind what's going on, and if he can't throw anybody out, but neither can Pedro Pajes, but at least Herrera can at least challenge successfully a strike zone. And he's doing that as a batter, not somebody who's seeing it 190 times a game. No homers yet, but 2 of his doubles completely knocked down the left field wall. Walk and K rate are, staying the same as last year. I'm saying let the guy catch, let the guy rake. He's for real. Kevin, what do you think?
So I'm okay with this team giving him opportunities to catch. The problem that I have with it, there are a couple. One is it leaves you a dead spot on your bench because you've got to carry a third catcher that you're never going to use. And I'm not sure how productive that is. But if you're going to have a guy that's your number 2 catcher and also a starting DH, unless you just want to lose your DH anytime you got to do anything with pinch runners, pinch hitters, or God forbid somebody gets hurt in the middle of a game, Well, they're going to do that. And I think that's a limiting factor, but it's fine because if he's only a DH, you're going to have that backup catcher anyway. It's just that Pozo would be playing. So again, it's not a big deal now. I don't have a problem with the idea that they want to try it. I don't think it's a long-term thing for him. I don't think it's going to work because look, he had a couple throws the other day. You guys saw them in the game where, they're bouncing 15, 20 feet before the bag. One of them was 3.5 feet off to the shortstop side. This is a hard game. And then you look at the velocity on those throws. Those throws would have ranked in the bottom 2 or 3 catchers last year of qualified catchers in terms of the velocity on the throw. So his arm's not getting any better, which isn't a shock because he had an elbow surgery in the offseason.
Yeah.
But he went to drive line before 2025, and it didn't seem to really do what we were hoping it would do. I think the throwing is going to be a real problem for the long term. And I don't know that that's fair to do to a pitcher, where anytime somebody's on base, you've got a guy out there that, look, the throwing, not only is the velocity not there, but as we've seen, he's not accurate. So if you can't have, there's 3 elements. I'm a nerd. I'm an old catcher, right? I'm a catching instructor. I've trained kids, high school kids, all the way up to college guys that are now coaching in the pros, guys that are, Division I college players. That's not the same as coaching major leaguers. Not trying to say that it is. But there are 3 things that have to happen to throw out runners. You got to get rid of it fast. You got to throw it fast. And you got to throw it on the bag. And any one of those that's off, the guy's safe. If it takes too long to get rid of it, he's safe. If it's not on the bag, he's safe. If the throw's 72 miles an hour, he's probably safe. So I think that's the hard part, but I understand it now. Like, again, now is different. You're in a rebuild. You're openly talking about it and living it. This is the time to find out. This is the time to find out if he can do it. And if he doesn't, if he can't, guess what, man? Jimmy Crooks is waiting. And so is Leo Bernal and eventually Reynel Rodriguez. And I don't think it's long. I think we're talking a year and a half before Rodriguez is pushing on the major league door. That's the reason why I don't think it's going to last, because you've got 3 dudes lined up behind him. The minor league Gold Glove winner at catcher in Bernal. And you got Crooks, who might be even better defensively. And he's a lefty bat with pop. And then Rodriguez has elite,
just say it.
Elite power,
Pujols,
right?
Just
yeah,
say it.
I mean,
just say it.
Yeah, he's got, put it this way. I don't know if I want to say that name, but he's got elite power traits, especially for a kid who's only 19 and won't turn 20 till January. So, there's a lot lined up that makes it less likely that it's a long-term thing that works. But for 2026, it's okay. It's okay. It allows you to get more bat into the lineup because, look, Pages I think Pages is a high-end backup catcher. I think he's really good. I just think he gets overexposed if he's catching 4 or 5 games a week.
Totally agree.
He throws well. He's got good, strong arm. He's typically good. He hasn't been good at it this year, but in the past, he's been pretty good at that. But he's not good at blocking the ball in the dirt. And he does call a good game, and that's a thing that we have to keep in mind. If pitchers like you, you're going to get to catch. But at some point, it's going to have to be a more balanced guy. And I think Pages can be the number 2 guy on a World Series team. Like, I think he's good, but I don't think he's an everyday guy. I think the everyday guys are at AAA and high A right now.
Yeah.
Is there a throw line? I know there's drive line. Is there a throw line for Ivan?
I mean, drive line does the arm too.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's hard. It's fixing throwing for a catcher is not easy. Because there's so much to it, right? It's the footwork. And Herrera's footwork's a little bit wonky. It's not terrible. He moves reasonably quickly, but he doesn't always move in the right direction. And that leads to some of the inaccuracies. And then he has to try really hard to generate velocity. Well, when you try really hard to generate velocity, sometimes you take your body out of position. And anybody that wants to watch like what it looks like when it's good, go look up Molina. So there are all these videos of Yadier Molina throwing down to second, right? Just Google Yadier Molina throw to second. And if you watch it, he comes out and throws. His head never moves. His head is like it's locked in place as he's coming out of that crouch, and he sees the throw the entire way. He's not jerking his head to the left. He's not pulling down to the front side. It's because he trusted his arm. When you try, it's like a pitcher overthrowing. When you try to do too much, it takes you out of position and it's going to impact your accuracy. And it actually doesn't increase your velocity. It just takes you out of a good position to make good throws. So it's going to be a hard thing to do long term. But again, short term, this is what we talked about, I think, not way back, Scott, but back on the last conversation was, okay, this year, this is the time. give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, you've got all these guys lined up that can take those duties.
Maybe if the pitchers just didn't get runners on base, then we wouldn't have to worry about the base stealing stuff. Like it's not that hard as a former pitcher. Either just let him hit it over the fence or just don't let him on base.
All
Or
right,
be
Michael,
quicker to the
settle
plate,
down.
God forbid.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your earned run. I don't know why you guys don't want to take more care of that guy.
Yeah, that's unbelievable to me. Jonathan, this year, real or fake, that Ivan Herrera should catch multiple days a week?
Real fake.
Okay.
Is that both? Is that both?
Yeah, this
Is
guy's
that
just
both?
a rule breaker.
No. Yeah. I'm cool with a couple days a week. I'm totally cool with that. I just think the overexposure with Pages is tough. You know, he's putting himself in a bad spot. I just don't want him to get hurt. I don't want Ivan to get
That's
hurt.
the big
all.
concern for Herrera, right? Is he's had the knee problems and stuff. If that starts to crop up, I think you got to shut it down.
100%.
You need his bat so badly.
But credit to him for being like, he wanted to do this. So like they gave him the run to do it. And he's a prideful guy. You hear him talk about he wants to represent his country well and do these things well. And honestly, kudos to you for making it this far and doing it. But at a point here, it's probably going to have to stop. I just hope it's not injuries that take him out of this, so.
Well, beyond the fantasy baseball eligibility that I'm looking for Herrera to
Which
catch a couple more
already
games.
got me. Thank God.
Oh,
Ooh.
gosh, I need two more. Matt, are you okay? Once he gets the eligibility, should he stop catching this year? I know.
Yes, Ivan Herrera should never catch another inning for the St. Louis Cardinals because I don't know if you guys realize this or not, we have very few above average major league hitters, and he's one of them. And why would we sacrifice any at-bats from one of our best hitters to the injury risks, all that stuff? Kevin, you're saying the answer. The answer is sitting at AAA. You bring Crooks up, you move Pages back to a backup role, which he is overextended. By the way, that was one of my reels. Pedro Pages plays too much. I don't hate Pedro Pages. He just plays too much. That is real, right? Why are we doing this with one of our best hitters? I understand his pride. I understand he wants to try to do it. I understand that will increase his value, but he hits. We have to have hitters. Just wrap the dude in bubble wrap. Keep him at DH. You have catchers coming out of your ears. Use the catchers that are coming out of your ears. That's my PSA for the Cardinals and everybody. Don't let Ivan Herrera catch. Let him hit.
Two more games.
Okay,
right.
fine. 2 more games, fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then this is when, okay, I won't even get there. Just a reminder, if you want to get into the conversations like these, go ahead and jump into our Patreon or into our Discord. And if I am way off, or if Jonathan cheated again by doing a for real with Oli Marmol as his person to watch, drop it in the comments and let us know if you agree or not. So let's go ahead and keep this thing moving. Kevin, is there something you've seen, a trend that maybe is either something new or just something that you're buying that you're like, all right, it's time to pay attention to this. This is something that's going to sustain.
Yeah, I've been a few things, but number one, I am absolutely buying Riley O'Brien as a closer. I think he looks great. I thought he looked great there last year. I think he's I don't know about added, but he's certainly tossing in the sweeper a little bit more this year, not just the 100-mile-an-hour sinker slider. I think he seems calm in those situations. He doesn't look rushed or weird. He's got the ability to get soft contact and miss some bats here and there. I've really been impressed. I know he's a late bloomer because of all the injuries, and obviously, his history of arm problems would probably still always be a concern. But I think it's less of a concern when you're in a role like the ninth inning, where it's consistent. I like him better in this than I would like as the super reliever, right, coming in to shut down a rally, because I think it's better for him to just have a controlled environment.
Yeah.
So I think he's legit, and that's just one off the top of my head. When you're thinking about the rest of it, there's so many questions. I mean, obviously Weatherholt's real. I think there's nothing that we've seen yet that would change that. I think Burley's improvements are real. Really, actually, you know what else? I've been impressed that he's played better defense this year.
Yeah,
At first base.
Yes.
That was
Which
my
I
other
give
one.
him credit. He put in the work. It was a little bit goofy at times with the footwork, but that's okay. Like when you haven't played it a lot, that's understandable. We had that with Wilson last year too, and then he got better, and became a pretty good first baseman. Overall was excellent, man. Had great range, strong arm, the whole deal. And Burley's got a strong arm too. So there's an asset there. I think that looks like it's real. He looks way more comfortable scooping the ball out of the dirt than he did in the past. And again, it's just repetition, and he's a hard worker. So just a couple off the top of my head, and I'm sure I thought about it, I'd give you even more, but I don't want to steal all the thunder.
Well, look at all this positivity around Cardinal Nation here. So what I'm hearing
Yeah,
out of the
it's
words
not
of
all
KM,
positive. We didn't get to those yet.
well, I was gonna say out of the words of the mouth of KMOX's own Kevin Wheeler, Riley O'Brien's about to stave 30 games, and Mark Alec Burleson down for 40 homers, a Gold Glove, and a Silver Slugger over there. at
27
first
home
base.
runs.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, we'll
27.
tone it down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we jump into those things that we might not be so positive about, you know what else is for real? Those trees in your yard. This episode of Redbird Rundown and Cardinals On My Time is brought to you by All-American Tree Experts. Cardinals fans, if the trees in your yard are getting a little wild, branches hanging over the roof, limbs crowding the strike zone, or a stump that's been in the lineup way too long like Sir Pajes, it might be time for a literal roster pruning. That's where Johnny and the crew at All American Tree Experts come in. They specialize in trimming, pruning, tree removal, stump grinding, and storm cleanup. Basically, if your yard needs a little clubhouse culture reset, they're ready for a step to the plate. They'll cut it back, clean it up, and have your yard looking like it just got called up from AAA landscaping. So don't just sit there barking at the ump. Give the ever handsome Johnny a buzz at 618-316-2457 and let the pros handle the cutting, and tell them Redbird Rundown sent you. All American Tree Experts, keeping your trees trimmed and your yard out of the warning track. All right, Kevin, when those trees get cleared out of your yard, your friends are going to be wondering if their eyes are deceiving them. I got a birthday party for my 3 and 1 year old coming up that I'm starting to just freak out that we need some weather, some good weather. Otherwise, we're going to be in some trouble. So let's go into the second part here today, where I look outside and I need to see some real clear weather. The Cardinals sit above 500, and whether you expect it or not, we've experienced the full roller coaster already. We hear small sample size all the time, but I'm wondering again, can we go spring training stats into the regular season, and what can we start to do? So, Matt, because I know you're ready to get going after getting on your Ivan Herrera train, is there something that you maybe think that we need to pump the brakes on that we're seeing so far?
Yes, there is. This does not mean I'm not rooting for this guy, because I am. But I think that Michael McGreevy's results thus far are a mirage. And let me tell you why. His fastball velocity is in the 2nd percentile. His chase percentage is in the 13th percentile. His whiff percentage is in the 10th percentile. His barrel rate is in the 7th percentile. And he has an expected ERA of 8.05. I hope he finds the velocity and turns this around. But if this is going to be the version of Michael McGreevy, he is patching this together with like duct tape and used chewing gum and string. And the results have been fine, good, right? The ERA is good, but underneath, he is about to get hammered by some team throwing the pitches that he is throwing. And I don't hate Michael McGreevy. I'm rooting for him. I have never been a big believer in his profile and his stuff. But this is a complete mirage, and we've been doing this almost his whole career. Like, he'd come up last year and have these crazy good starts, and everybody's like, what are we doing? You know, the savior of the rotation. This is never what he's been, but this is the worst version of Michael McGreevy that we've seen, and I'm scared to death for him.
All right, Kevin, we were begging for him to come up last year. Now is it time to option him or trade him for Eric Fetty or something?
No, no, look, I think what Matt said is pretty much on the money. I mean, I don't think McGreevy has ever been viewed as the next number 1, number 2, number 3 starter. What he should be, what I think he is a guy that can hold down a rotation spot, 4 or 5 spot. And you need inexpensive guys that can do that, go get 6 innings. Maybe a little bit of like what the good Miles looked like, right?
Yeah,
good Miles
yeah.
Mike was, except, like, as you mentioned, Miles was pitching with 94, 95, not 91. And I think if you look at McGreevy right now, the problems that he's having are real, and he's had some good luck in his favor. But they're fixable. If you go on Baseball Savant and you look at the locations of his fastballs, all of his fastballs, 4-seam, sinker, cutter, the cutters are a lot of high middle. The sinkers are actually a lot up in the zone. The 4-seam fastball is a lot up in the zone. Well, you can't pitch up with 90, 91. No, I mean, and so I think it's fixable. I think it's repair. Now, not to the point where he's your future number 2 starter or whatever. But I think there's room there to do it. He's had some success with his off speed, which is going to be his game, and that's fine. He throws 5 or 6 pitches. That's fine. He doesn't have to be a velo guy. But when you're a 90, 91, 92 mile an hour guy, you got to have better command than what we've seen from the fastball so far. It doesn't mean it's not fixable. I think it is. And I think I didn't pull it up, but I bet if I looked at it last year, it's a lot different. Because if you look at the way the graph shows it, like the sinkers are all top of the zone, the ones that are getting hit. But even the ones that aren't getting hit are pretty high, or at least scattered. And I think that's a problem. The fastballs are kind of high to his arm side, which speaks to maybe um, a mechanical thing, maybe leading to the velocity being down. You know, you get a little slight change. I haven't looked to see if his release points changed at all. But I'll take a peek at that now while we're talking, since I have the screen out up in front of me. No, it's exactly the same as last year. So 32 degrees now. It was 33 degrees last year. So no real change in that, but it can be the timing. You know, the arm can be getting through a little bit late. You could be struggling to push for more velo, and that pulls you off a little bit, like we were talking about with the catchers. It can be a lot of different things. I think it's fixable to get back to where he was last year. I think the guy we saw last year is pretty much real. You know, that 4 ERA, maybe high threes, low fours. I think that guy's real, and that guy can go get you 180 innings, and that's valuable.
Scott, I held back one stat, and this is just for you, buddy. Okay, so hold on to your shorts.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Michael McGreevy is running a 207 BABIP, which means he is lucking his way into, right, league average is 300. He's lucking his way through these starts. I hope Kevin's right. I don't know. The velo thing is scary. I mean, we're talking like 88, 87, some of these fastballs are right now. So I hope that he can get that corrected. It would be great to have a staple in our rotation. I'm scared is where I'm at.
It's fair. It's fair to be scared. I mean, you know, when I'm looking at a guy that relies on command and he's not commanding the fastball, that's going to be a problem if it doesn't get fixed, right? I mean, that was Eric Fetty last year. That's been Andre Palante in the past, and Palante's got more velo to work with. So again, with both of those guys, I mean, I guess I'd say it's fixable for McGreevy in the sense that he's always been more of a strike thrower. He's always been more of a command guy, where Palante's always been a little wonky, a little bit, you know, maybe more stuff over command kind of guy. But, you know, look, it's kind of like the Jordan Walker thing, right? Jordan Walker's struggles were fixable. We just weren't seeing it be fixed. And right now we are. There's a path to fixing that. But it certainly isn't, you know, making mistakes at the top of the zone with 90-91.
Yeah, and the 90-91 is just not going to cut it. Jonathan,
I mean, he was only 92 last year. I mean, it's, you know, or 92.4.
But this is his whole career. He's just hanging. He's just on the nice edge of being a major league pitcher. And again, rooting for him, hopeful for him, but scared every time he goes out, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally fair. I think he's solid, but I think you're right. I think there's very little room for error for people that don't throw 95 plus.
Yes.
I don't want to cheer for somebody that reminds me of Kyle Hendricks, though, is the thing.
Well, he's a little bit different than Kyle, but Kyle had a long career, man. If he has Kyle Hendricks' career, that's a win, man.
Yeah, true.
It's a win, but you just think about cheering for
39-year-old Kyle Hendricks. You want like 30-year-old Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan, which version of McGreevy is real or fake? And then if you want to go ahead and go right into your next one, and then we can keep this thing running.
I mean, I've stumbled upon, like in Fangraphs, they have Sierra, and that's skill independent ERA, which is just you are swimming in the deep end of the nerd pool if you know Sierra numbers. I just want to tell you that. It's so true, though. He's a mid-fours guy, and that's what it does. It takes away defense. It takes away everything else. It factors in stuff, location, all of that, and it's so true. And I really want McGreevy to be successful, but Kevin said it. He's a 4 or 5, and, you know, Cardinals fans, you're going to see him come out, and he's going to throw 6 shutout innings randomly. It's going to happen. You're going to see him get blown up in the 3rd inning sometimes. It's just the way it goes. I was texting in our group, you know, thread earlier. I can't wait to see these younger arms in our system come up and get this swing and miss, even though, as it stands right now, Michael McGreevy has the highest K percentage of his career, throwing 89. So that's baseball. Riddle me that. I don't have no explanations for any of that, but it'll just be nice to see the flamethrowers come up and you see Tanner Franklin just blow the socks off people. That'd be great. Can I give you my Mirage, Scott?
Roll through it.
All right, man. My Mirage is the bullpen, but not in the sense that you are probably thinking. I just think Mirage, bullpens are a Mirage in general. Just in general, you cannot solidify or see anything of value in bullpens because they are so volatile. And the early numbers of our team, even though I'm going to just not look at what happened 15 minutes ago, if you're seeing in the background.
That's probably good to leave that out.
We were imploded. But Fangraphs, I read this the other day. They did this a couple weeks ago. They did a positional rankings, and they did bullpens. And 6 of the top 15 teams are behind the Cardinals bullpen in FIP and in WAR right now. Now, that doesn't factor in what just happened, like I said. So spending money, stacking vets, it doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. good outings and bad outings, it's all going to level out, right? We already know that that's how bullpens work. But I am not saying that that really matters for us. What I want us to do is just start to oil up the gears, gas up the Memphis shuttle, baby. Bring them up. Keep cycling through these guys. You've seen Roycroft not find a lot of success. They love something about him. He struggled. Send him back down. He's got options. Let's see Tink Hintz at some point. Let's see Bryson Motts. Let's see Ryan Fernandez again. Let's keep evaluating somebody like Gordon Graceffo. Who knows? You might find your next Matt Swanson, even though, again, he's been off this year, but I don't believe that's who he is. I think he can continue to be successful. He will be successful in the major leagues. So I just think bullpens in general, everybody just pump the dang brakes. You can't necessarily fix a bullpen by spending money. You can't fix a bullpen by running the shuttle. I do like what we're doing with the Memphis shuttle. I kind of joke about that, but I love that strategy. Let's just see what they are. But if Ryan Stanek happened to be on the bullpen shuttle and never came back, would I be frustrated? I don't know. I'm still thinking about that.
Well, this is the type of game in a rebuild that is ideal. You had a good first 6 innings where you don't want your Matt Swanson to blow it, but you get Jordan Walker having a homer, you get good at bats from guys, you're learning some things. Palante seems to put it together a little bit after a tough start, and then you lose it. So you at least learn something from your core guys, and then you get the
lottery
loss.
Balls anyway. Yeah,
sure.
Which like the Yankees, they spend money. Like the Astros have a good bullpen. These guys, they've spent money, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. It's just hard. Yeah. Bullpens are really, really hard to nail down.
Kevin, what's your take on rebuild bullpens?
I mean, first of all, for this year, this particular bullpen, I've been pretty bummed. I really loved what I saw from Matt Swanson last year, and he's not the same guy. He's not throwing the ball anywhere near where he wants to. I mean, you can look at his walk rate just to tell you that. It's almost 14%.
Yeah.
His velo is fine. I don't see a big change in that. It's down a mile an hour, but I mean, it's also April. And it only has been April for a few days. So I'm not sure that I'm that worried about that. It's just, it's very clearly he's just missing in too many spots, getting behind, throwing too many fat ones. And, it's kind of the same thing with Dustin May. I'm sure we'll get to him at some point because the stuff is still pretty good. It's very hittable because you're not really commanding it and working ahead enough. But I've been overall disappointed. I've been disappointed with Stanek's erratic nature, although I shouldn't be. His career is that. It's like you look at him sometimes and you're like, how does anybody hit this guy? And then the next thing you know, he's giving up 3 runs. It's just a weird kind of combo. But I mean, other than JoJo, who's been pretty good, and Riley O'Brien, not much there. I mean, Graceffo's only had a couple outings. He's been fine. But it's not a very large sample size. But I thought this was going to be a better bullpen than it's been. I hope that it will be. But I do agree with you guys. I think at some point, the guys like Justin Brule and Jared Schuster and all that will eventually work them with themselves out of the way. And later in the year, maybe you do say, all right, I'm not sure where Bryson Motts fits long-term as a starter with all the guys we have. But man, he could really help us in the bullpen. And even if he's going to help you, why can't he go the Liberatore route?
Absolutely.
Why can't Quinn Matthews go the Liberatore route later in the year? Not now, but later in the year. Hey, he gets swing and miss. He's still wild. He's not throwing enough strikes. But guys get away with that in 1-inning stints. You don't get away with it when you're trying to throw 5, 6, 7 innings, because when you're putting on, 3, 4 guys, per 9, it's too many. But if it's 1 walk every 2 outings, which is still a lot for a starter, right? That rate, it's 1 walk for every 2 innings, which is kind of what you'd expect. That's pretty bad for a starter, but it's, relievers get by with that all the time if they get swing and miss. So I would love to see eventually, I want to see Tank be healthy for a few months before I worry about him, but I agree. I want to see him. I want to see him in the pen because he's years away from being able to carry a starter's workload. So let's get him going. I mean, he's on the 40 man. So I would hope that the future answers start there. Eventually somebody's going to have to emerge, and they've been great. It's a different front office now, but they've been pretty good at finding closers just in-house. I mean, I don't know who's the last free agent closer that was necessary. I mean, was it
Holland?
Was it Greg Holland? Yeah. I mean, right. And that didn't even work, right? So they don't go that route very often, and it's been good. So hopefully that continues with the new front office too.
Matt, what do you think about the bullpen being used to get some prospects their toes wet a little bit?
Well, I'm just waiting for that Gastelum changeup. I mean, everybody's raving about it.
Yeah, I want to see
guy,
him too, for sure. Yeah.
That guy strikes out everybody with that thing. So I agree. I think that bullpens are always kind of interchangeable and fungible, and especially in a rebuild, like everything's up for grabs. So I think this is really hard for fans because it is frustrating to be ahead and then to lose if your bullpen comes in and blows it. And the Cardinals are not trying to lose, but obviously winning is probably not priority number one for this team this year. So really, all of this stuff and seeing all of these guys in the long term, that's fine. It's going to be okay, and we're going to learn some things. And I think that that's just as important this year as trying to win 95 games because the talent's just not there.
Yep. Hey man,
Right.
It's the time to let it ride. Hey, let Matt Swanson try to pitch out of it. If he can't, send him down. Let him work on some things. Get him back. I mean, like. The problem is, if you're sending someone down, you've got to bring someone back. And there are not that many, right? Like Ryan Fernandez has continued to struggle, which really sucks because I thought he looked great in 2024.
Yeah.
But he, again, lost the command. He just doesn't throw the ball where he needs to. But you've got so many other guys that can be used. And I mean, a lot of scouting people think Franklin's a future closer. I think it's up in the air. I mean, if he's a starter, that would be great. I mean, like that's the goal. Develop him that way, use all his pitches, see if it works. But if it doesn't, that guy coming out throwing 100, 101 in one inning stints like he did at Tennessee, perfectly fine with me.
Oh, we're very high on the right.
Let's just hope Liam Doyle doesn't
Franklin.
end up as a closer.
Yeah.
It's not that it's the end of the world, but you'd really rather a first round pick be in your rotation.
Well, we had Aiden Gray on before, and he's like, well, if one of those works, that's fine. You'll take one of the two, but of course you want your first round pick to work.
Yeah, I mean, again, if they're helping you win games, it's a good pick. So if you get down the road and those guys are your 8th and 9th inning guys, fine. That's fine. There's no issue with that. I mean, it's better if one of them's a starter, but if not, that's okay. They can still help you win, and you'll still get your value from the pick.
But Doyle's not just first round. Doyle's like top of the first round. That kind of has more weight to it, I think.
Yes, it does.
You think we should have let Dylan Carlson try to close? You think that would have?
All right. Well, anyway, you hear reliever risk, but at least you're getting something out of them at the major league level. So that's where you're saying, like, at least that's a win there.
That's what the draft's about, right? If you get guys that can work for 6 years below the price of a high-end person, that's a quality first-round draft pick, even if it's top 10. You just really would like it to be more of a front-of-the-rotation starter. That'd be great.
Yeah, I guess if you have to choose one or the other.
Yeah. And by the way, I would like to see Sinjay this year, too.
Ooh, that's fun.
Even if it means a little bullpen time at the end of the year. I think he's going to pitch. I think he'll be at Memphis before long, would be my guess. He didn't have much trouble at AA last year. I would imagine as an advanced guy out of the SEC, especially now that he's focusing on just right-handed in games, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he's up in Memphis before a couple months, and it wouldn't shock me to see him at the end of the year. Wouldn't shock me to see him as a part of the rotation next year.
Oh,
I love it.
Not?
Speak it
Why
out.
not?
Speak it out.
I love
Why
that.
not?
Yeah, we hear the SEC is like comparable to lower level minor leagues already. So yeah, go ahead and keep that thing running.
It is. I mean, it's the top level of college baseball. You're seeing about the same age and like physical ability is like high A.
Mhm.
Maybe AA for the best of the best, like a Tennessee might be a roster full of talent like AA. And the age is correct, right? You're typically looking at AA guys in their early 20s. Actually a little older than that, really. That's more of like the high A age. People used to say that the high end was more AA. I think it probably is high A now because you see these college guys, they don't seem to struggle too much in high A, but when you get AA, AAA, there's a little bit more of a challenge.
Interesting. All right, let's take this thing home with my last Mirage. That's probably going to ruffle some feathers here. And I don't know if it's fair or not because I go back and forth and I rag on him a little bit too much, probably, for somebody that skipped AAA and just got promoted too early. But Victor Scott II, I'm about not done, but this is where I'm at. Okay, so I know I rag on him for his offense, and I'm constantly reminded that he can catch the ball like no other, and that's cool. But you know who else can catch the ball like no other and do all that kind of stuff? Like, again, I just said it the other day, Brendan Ryan could do that pretty great too, and he couldn't hit, and we wanted somebody else. So we know that Victor Scott II isn't here to drive in runs, but those spots keep coming up, especially if Pages is playing and accidentally gets a hit, or whoever's at the bottom third extends the inning a little bit. So far through, this isn't counting today's blow up, but through 9 games, he had 9 plate appearances with runners in scoring position. So far, he's contributed 3 sacrifice bunts. Okay, so again, this could be runners on first and second, and great. That's when Victor Scott II should bunt. But at some point, pitchers are just going to be like, okay, we know he's not going to swing, or, he's not going to unleash the voodoo witch doctor that we can constantly bring up who fixed his swing. But he strikes out in Jordan Walker territory, and this is like newfound Jordan Walker territory. And he has 0 walks so far this year through 10 games. And this is somebody who's supposed to get an automatic double every time he gets on first base. So that's not sustainable for a guy that needs to get on base. Kevin, help me out here. Am I just spiraling a little bit? Am I too unfair to the best defensive center fielder in baseball for an offense that lacks offense?
No, I don't think it's unfair. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, and now this year, the only caveat is that it's a small number of games, but it looks like it did last year, right? I mean, like that's what it looks like. It's not any different. If you look at his OPS, it's about the same. If you look at the expected weighted on base, it's lower. So it's see, the thing that's concerning to me about Victor Scott, I can see where there's potential for him to get better because he doesn't chase.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bizarre to me that a guy that doesn't chase doesn't hit. In part because nobody's pitching around this guy. They don't want to walk you. That right? And he actually had a really high walk rate last year.
Yeah.
Last year, his walk rate was like 60th percentile or something, which is crazy for a guy that nobody wants to walk.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is he's not doing anything with the ball in the strike zone, right? So if you're not chasing and you're still striking out 27% of the time, you're getting beat in the zone. And that's my concern, is you're getting beaten in the zone too much. And, he's not a launch angle guy. That's not something we're really going to talk too much about. But so far this year, it's like 3%, 3 degrees, 3-degree launch angle. That ain't going to work.
Mm-mm.
And I'm not, again, he was better than that last year. He's not a guy that's trying to hit the ball in the air. He's definitely trying to hit it on a line. He's trying to, flat swing through the zone, drive the ball into the gaps, not try to hit it on the ground, but try to drive it in the gaps, not try to lift it into the air. But I worry about guys that struggle with stuff in the zone, right? When you look at, I can't remember what it was last year, so I'm going to peek at it. I mean, he hits fastballs. He only slugs 340 against them. He's only hitting 245 against fastballs. And then breaking balls, it's way worse. And this year, it's been somewhat similar. He's hit the fastball a little bit better this year, but he's not hitting anything else. He literally does not have a hit on an off-speed pitch this year. So breaking balls, changeups, splitters, whatever. He does not have a hit yet this year on off-speed. If I'm facing him, what am I doing? I'm just throwing him off-speed in the zone. I'm not going to walk him. I'm not going to give him the ball that he's handling. And I think it's a little encouraging that he's been better against the fastball. But I think it's fair to be concerned. I mean, he's 25. He's probably beyond the age of sending him back down to the minors to work on things. But at some point, you need a center fielder that's not just a glove. Because Michael Ciani was a great fielder. Not as good as Victor Scott, but he's a hell of a fielder. Just couldn't hit.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to get locked into the same thing. And now that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to last. They've got outfield prospects that are coming, specifically Baez. I don't know that they want him in center down the road, but it wouldn't be a short-term option that would kill you. But yeah, I think that's a fair concern. I don't know if I'm ready to say he's not ever going to hit because he's only 25, but there's not a lot there. See, when you look at Walker, when he's struggling, you can see that 115 mile an hour exit velo.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see that 98th percentile bat speed, right? You can see, okay, it won't take much. This guy starts putting the ball in play, stops swinging at bad ones. He's going to do damage. With Scott, that's not there. Bat speed's not his thing. And I love the bunting for hits. I love that weapon, but it's clearly not turning him into an offensive player right now, not a plus offensive player.
Yeah, and when Vic's struggling, he's putting bunts down on 2-0 fastballs. That's
Yeah, I
when
don't like
last year
that.
when
Yeah,
I was like,
I don't like that.
That's when I was really out on
That's
that.
when you're going to get the fastball that you can, do something with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the old days, I mean, it's a little less true now.
Right.
Back in my day. All right,
Yeah.
Matt. Where are you at on Vic? I know you're one of his biggest supporters.
I think here's the crisis point to me is not this year, but if Victor Scott is not a plus offensive player, I don't know how long Pedro Pages is for the team, but he's not a plus offensive player. Honestly, right now, it's been a long time since we've seen Mason Wynn be a plus offensive player. I think it's in there. I think the injuries had a lot to do with that. You can't carry 3 of those. I think you could carry one of them.
That's not counting left field, which is kind of empty now, too.
True.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming Baez is going to come up and take care of that. But
I mean,
that's
and Newt will be there at some point,
Yes,
too.
yes.
And if he's healthy, he's capable.
yes.
But he's also probably get traded soon.
Yes, on a competitive team in the future, I don't think Scott and Wynn in his current form and Pies can coexist on the same team. So yeah, it may be down the road that you have to unfortunately hit eject on Victor Scott if he's never going to get. But I mean, if you've got an OPS in the mid 600s and that's all you're doing, you can track down every fly ball from here to Iowa City. And at some point, there's just got to be more to it than just that, especially if you're not going to have a top flight offense with the rest of your players. So this is a long track record now. Like, he has done this for a long time, and we've seen the same kind of things with him. So, yeah, it's extremely concerning. He really needs to turn around this year, probably.
Yeah, I think his future might be as dependent on the development of others as anything,
Yes.
right? If the rest of the lineup is strong,
yes,
and he's going to bat ninth and catch everything, that's fine.
You can hide him, exactly.
Totally fine, right? It's
Yep.
totally fine. Teams do that all the time. Even the Dodgers have guys at the bottom where they're like not great hitters. That's okay if you've got 1 through 6 loaded up and you can put up numbers. And that's part of where, down the road, maybe his value is just as a fourth outfielder who's a dynamic game changer late on the bases and a guy that you bring in for your lockdown defense at the end of the game. I think he's a big leaguer for sure. I mean, that speed and defense makes him a big leaguer, and he's capable enough at the plate where he's better than Michael Ciani. But yeah, I think it all depends on the rest of it, because I think Wynn will hit better than he looked in the second half last year, but I'm not sure if he's a great hitter or just an average one. And if he's just an average one, that's okay. But then you need Walker to hit, and Gorman to hit, and Baez to hit, and Rainiel Rodriguez to hit, maybe Jimmy Crooks to hit, right? You need the other guys that you're counting on to be there. And if they are, then this stuff doesn't really hurt you too much.
Right.
Yeah, and we'll just put together an MV3 that's also surrounded by Larry Walker and Reggie
Let's just
Sanders
do that.
and
Yeah,
all that
let's
stuff
just,
too.
Let's
Jonathan.
make sure we got the modern version of Pujols and Berkman and Beltran and Freeze and all those guys.
I'll take it.
It's easy. Jonathan, where are you at, and Vic, before we finish this thing up?
2 things real quick. I did not know he was running the magical MLB The Show average and OBP is the exact same, because no one walks in MLB The Show. You just swing at everything. So he's running a 310 average and 310 on base. That's honestly kind of impressive. I did not realize that. And number 2, a more serious point, I'm trying to think of like legitimate center fielders we have developed and not traded for. Harrison Bader, Dylan Carlson, just like off the top of my head. You could go back further. Vic is kind of just like here. There wasn't anybody else. Like, it was Ciani who we got off the scrap heap randomly. Did Richie Palacios ever play? Like, it was always just a bunch of random guys, right? And it's like, well, Vic is here. Let's just bring him up. And who's behind him? Josh Baez isn't going to play. He shouldn't probably be the long-term center fielder, although he could. Ty Pete's like 14 and a half. That's
he may be the guy you give a look to, but he's got a lot to fix between now and then.
Exactly. So it's like, Vic may get a run here because I don't know who else there is, to be quite honest with you, unless there's somebody you throw out there. I was hopeful it would have been Nathan
Church.
Well, and that could be. It's just, it seems...
he's got to start hitting something.
Yeah, not anymore. I was hopeful it was going to be.
I mean, he's not done. I mean, by no means am I writing him off. But I mean, I was talking about it in spring, like, hey, if Vic doesn't hit, at least Church can maybe do something. But he's got a lot of the same problems, except he's also chasing everything.
He looks so... When a lefty comes in, it's like, Church, just leave the bat on the shoulder, man. Try to work a walk. So, I don't know. Do I think Vic has a long-term, run with this team? Maybe. It just depends on the hitting, like we've talked about. But it just fascinates me that there really hasn't been anyone that has just stolen that position. Like, I'm just going to play well and be the center fielder. We haven't seen that for years.
No, I can't tell you how badly I want Victor Scott to be good, though.
I know.
I so badly want him to be good because the speed is so much fun. He's got a great personality. He's the kind of guy fans will love. I mean, they love him now, but like if he's just a legitimately good player, I want him to be good so badly. I mean, that's a fun player.
It is.
And if he's even league average offensively,
I know
that's a win, because now you take that elite defense. That's Kevin Kiermaier. If you can just be within 5% of league average, 10% of league average, if you're that range, now you're a quality player. Now you're a guy that can run out there every day. And again, it's not that it can't happen. We just haven't seen it in almost 600 plate appearances in the big leagues. Actually, 600 at bats. It's like almost 700 plate appearances.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to be bad, you might as well make it fun. So that's going to be how we're wrapping it up today. Like, again, that game was fun tonight for the first 6 innings, and if you'll just pretend that we turned it off after that. So big thanks to Kevin for joining the show. Before I give you the chance to wrap it up, I want to see if there's anybody else that that we didn't talk about that you're either buying or selling a couple weeks into this regular season here.
I wouldn't go with a buy or a sell, but a worried about Dustin May. I'm encouraged because he's clearly healthy, right? I mean, he's still bringing upper 90s. And I know that, look, velo doesn't mean everything, but it is a good sign that a player like him is healthy, is physically not dealing with any shoulder, elbow, whatever. But my Lord, he doesn't have any idea where it's going right now. So to me, I would say I'd be down on it, but because we know where he's coming from and we knew this was like a rehabilitation year, right? Come in, get the reps, hopefully find your command. I think we all knew that, but there's, to your point earlier about, spring and what it means. I mean, Dustin May was a Cy Young in spring and nobody was touching him. And now all of a sudden it's all big leaguers and those mistakes get hit. But
he's putting up Miles Michaelis numbers.
Worse. I mean, and I'm not writing him off because guys that can throw 100, you're going to let him have a shot. I would say down the road, second half, if he still does this, maybe you give him a look in the pen. Maybe you give him a look, 2-inning guy, whatever, and see what it looks like. Although I'm sure he doesn't want that because he's going back into free agency.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not saying it has to happen, but as long as he's healthy, I think you give him run. It's not like Miles. It's not like Eric Betty, where they're out there throwing 80 poo and it's, getting rocked. At least you can see where, hey, with a couple of adjustments, hey, we just command this a little better, 99 plays.
Sure.
But
it's like the Jordan Walker natural talent. It's like the Jordan Walker of pitching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's there. You can see it.
Yeah, and I give him benefit of the doubt because I know what he's been through.
Yes.
I know it's been basically 3 years of arm problems, plus he almost died from a tear in his esophagus. So,
it's crazy.
I fully understand why it looks the way that it does. It's just because he would look so good in spring that I'm shocked it's been as bad. But like we said with McGreevy, if he just commands it a little better, I think he'll get better pretty quickly.
All right, well, I'm going to take it home here. So, Kevin, it was truly an honor to have you on here tonight. Appreciate you sharing all that phenomenal information, sharing really everything, answering our dumb questions. But
yeah, there's no dumb questions, guys. You didn't learn that in school?
Well, I'm a teacher, and I always have a.
Maybe there are dumb questions.
Yes, I have something to say.
I heard some
there.
today. There are dumb questions.
If you got junior high kids or high school kids, then yes, there are dumb questions.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. They're not listening anyway. So, Kevin, before I say goodbye,
class too.
Exactly. Gosh, dang. Well, let the ones that are listening here, let them know where they can find you before we wrap this thing up.
I'm on Twitter at KevinWheeler94, and then every weekday, not every day, but every weekday on KMOX from 1 p.m. to 6, I'm there somewhere. I'm on Dave Glover's show for the first 4 hours, and then we do our Redbird Rush Hour in advance of the Cardinals pregame show. So I'm always around, man. I mean, I'm on the air 5 hours a day, so people are sick of me, but that's where you find me.
Hey, if they keep coming back, you're going to keep talking, right?
Hey,
so,
you give me a microphone, I'm going to talk, man. That's just the way it is.
Well, we appreciate it, and we hope you have you on again. So for Matt and Jonathan from Redbird Rundown, this was Cardinals On My Time. Thanks for hanging.